Welcome back. Now, yesterday marked 1 month since 16-year-old Grace Lynch was tragically killed after being struck by a Scrambler in Finglas in Dublin.
Her parents, Siobhan and Martin Lynch, have since started a campaign for Grace's Law to tighten regulation around Scramblers, and they join us now. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us. First of all, I suppose, Siobhan, can you tell us a little bit about Grace?
Grace was, she was the third girl and she was the baby for years. Our brother came after 10 years, there's a 10-year gap, and Grace was just so funny. Just so funny. She'd do little quirky things where I recently found out she was, I knew our friends were coming over to the house, but I recently found out she was bringing them home to wash and blow dry their hair and cut their hair. And I was saying to myself, how was she cutting their hair? Like, I've only kitchen scissors. Like, what was she doing? Like,
she's a 16-year-old.
Oh,
her life is starting. And Martin, I'm sure for you as a dad, it's a month. Is it real?
It doesn't feel real, but it's each day it's sinking in further that she's not coming home. And we go to the graveyard, we have to visit and put down flowers, and that's it from now on.
In the immediate aftermath of what happened to Grace, we saw you immediately. You were, Siobhan, it was visceral. I remember it so well. You were out and you started campaigning straight away about these Scrambler bikes. Was it something that you had talked about in the community with your friends or with anyone kind of going, what's going on with these things?
I worked as a healthcare assistant, and I used to be, it's known as a walker, like, so I didn't drive, I'd walk around, and most of my clients would have been based around Finglas and up in Plunket where Harry lives, Grace's boyfriend, and in particular up in that place, you'd be on footpaths walking around and everything, and they'd be just flying past you, and you'd see kids dodging out of the way, and elderly people kind of nearly stumbling or falling and frightened to go out of the house. And I always used to say, they are going to kill themselves or they're going to kill somebody else. I've been saying it for years, and so has a lot of the community.
It's the norm to see somebody popping a wheelie the length of an entire road and things. That's like normal.
Can you tell us what happened the day that you heard?
I was in work, so the Ring doorbell went on my phone, but because I was underground in the Mater Hospital at the time, I wasn't getting all the words. I could see everything. I could see a phone, but I looked at me like guards, and I heard something about an accident. So I didn't know much when it happened, when they knocked at the door. I knew very little. And then I rang Siobhan, and she was indecipherable on the phone. Like, I couldn't make out what she was saying. And then I heard Grace was in an accident, so I immediately dropped everything and discovered it was Blanchetown, so I wasn't in Mater Hospital. And I found out through the nurses that the ambulance had gone to 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿𝐿, so I was going to 𝐂𝐂𝐿𝐬𝐿. I just left.
And for you, Siobhan?
Horrible day. 20 to 4, I got knocked at the door. And I was the guards, and I knew Grace's phone. She was never out of her hands, and it was like pink flowers on the back of it. And he handed it that way to me, and he asked me, did I know who owned it? And I said, my daughter. And he said, she's been in an accident. And I said, what, is she okay? Is she okay? And he didn't answer me. He said, you need to get to 𝐂𝐿𝐬𝐿 Hospital. And I said, please tell me my child's okay. Please tell me my child's okay. There was 2 guards there, and he said, you just need to go. And I had my son, and I panicked. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Because Martin was in work, and I panicked, and I was like, I don't know, I was like a headless chicken. I was just running around. I didn't know what to do. I ran upstairs, I took the pyjamas off, I put anything I could find on me and took the towel off my hair and just put it up, and I ran back down, and I was running in and out, and then Martin was ringing me, and I was like, I don't know. I was just panicking. And I ran to my neighbour then 2 doors away from me, and Sinead, and I said to her, Sinead, Grace has been in an accident. I said, they won't tell me anything. I said, can you watch Stuart? I said, because in the meantime, the guard, I couldn't, my hands were shaking, and the guard took my phone to talk to my mother and say that, you know, the baby was here, and she said, I'm on my way. Another car pulled up, and there was 2 more guards, and my neighbour said to me, look, I'll lock up, I'll do everything, just give me the key, go. And they rushed me to Connolly Hospital, and at this stage I'm on my own, there was nobody with me. And when I was in the back of the car, the guard said to me, when I looked, I just seen a row of police. And I went, oh. I knew. I just knew. And he told me to stay in the car. And I stayed in the car. And they needed a check. And then I was told, you need to go to the family room. And everybody knows the family room is not good. And I said I didn't want to go in. And he said, you need to go in. And I sat down on the chair like I am now. I had a nurse here and a nurse here. And she told me to sit down and forced to sit down, but I don't want to sit down. And she said, you need to sit down. And they both held my hand. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry, but your daughter's passed. I even had a girl text me the other day to say that she heard that howl from the waiting room because I was screaming that my baby had gone. I had to ring everybody and tell them. And then I was on my own for a while. And then Martin came in and my daughter came in, and there was a good few of us there at this stage. And then I was told that they came back in and they said to me, Grace's heart has been beating steadily for the last 5 minutes. And I just went, oh, thank God, she heard me. She heard me. And they told us that me and our daddy could go and see her. And we did. And what I seen is an image that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Grace had tubes everywhere. And the blood was rolling from her ears and from her nose and from her mouth. A whole side of her head was black. And I went to touch her arm, and I was told not to touch her arm because it was badly broken. But I could hold her hand. And she had a sheet over her, and I pulled the sheet underneath, and her hand was black and blue, and I held her hand, and her legs were completely mangled. And we were told then we had to leave, and, you know, they were going to bring her down for a CT, and, you know, they kind of reassured us that because her heart was beating, that they can fix broken bones, but they needed to see the extent of the internal injuries in our brain. And then she came back from CT, and we were told we could go back in again, and we went in again, and I told her to fight. And Harry and I went in at that time, and we all told her, we're here. You need to fight, baby, we're all here. And then we were told, like, you know, we had to leave again, and we went back out again, and at that stage I think we all had hope. And then they came back in, and the doctor was there, and he said, I am so sorry, but you have to say goodbye. And at that stage we were all in the room. My mother, my father, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, her husband, my brothers, my sister-in-laws.
It was all the family.
All the family, all of us. And I used to sing a song to her, You Are My Sunshine, when she was a baby. And I started to sing that to her. I just remember walking out that room so angry and going outside and wanting to scream. And I couldn't. And then leaving the hospital, knowing that I'm leaving my baby there in Mog. And I couldn't be with her. That was the hardest thing. I didn't sleep that night. I actually went up onto my road that night and stood in the middle of the road waiting for a car to hit me because I wanted to be with her. It was so hard, so hard. It broke my heart. And then to know that you had to leave her there, and then you're planning a funeral. You're planning everything for her. It was hard, but the next day after, my friend had rang me, Catherine, and she said, Siobhan, I'd like to do a walk for Grace. The one that she never got. And I told her, that's a lovely thing to do, and I don't think that I can do that. And she said, I wouldn't expect you to, but the community is so annoyed about this, and we want to support you. And I said, OK, thank you very much. And she rang me back about 4 o'clock, and she said, Siobhan, there's hundreds of people turning up. And I just went, oh my God. And I have to go, I have to do it, I have to support my baby. If they're supporting her, I have to support her too. And I went, and I wasn't expecting to talk. I definitely wasn't expecting to talk that night, but when we were marching, Catherine had said to me, Siobhan, look around. And my 2 girls were on either side of Martin, and when I looked around, I just seen hundreds of people behind me. And I was in shock. I was like, oh my God. You know, and for the community to kind of be so quick to do that, it shows the anger that was in all of those people as well, that it had to happen the way it did.
Have the government heard from you? I know because you are trying to fight for laws around scramblers, calling it Grace's Law.
We met the Minister for Transport and the Minister for Road Safety. So hopefully within the next, I think it's week to 2 weeks, they will have the legislation that they're proposing. But we gave our input. Whether we get it all, I don't know. That remains to be seen.
This is to ban the use of scramblers in public
It's
spaces.
an outright ban in public spaces. So you can't even walk through a public space with one of them.
You've unfortunately had to become campaigners. In that moment, you both became campaigners for something that I hope no one ever else has to ever feel. But Martin, if there's a parent listening right now that you could speak to about these bikes, and we know that people over the age of 16 are using them, but it's also young people as well.
Yeah.
But about scramblers and about these electric sort of, what would you like to say to people or to anyone who uses one?
If you love your children, why would you let them go on a machine that's going to propel them at 100 kilometres an hour down the road with little or no safety equipment? There's no safety in them. There's safety designs in cars that if you hit pedestrian, you have some chance. With them, you have no chance. So, if they don't do it, unfortunately, it's going to happen again and again and again. And I work in A&E, and e-bikes, scooters, quads, scramblers, the figures are there. I think 80% of all head injuries going into A&E is to do with one of them vehicles. So it's not just made up, it's real.
It's real.
It's a month yesterday since Grace passed. How are you? How are her younger brother and older sisters?
Shauna is the oldest. Shauna will be 25 this year, so she's gone back to work. She also works in the Mater Hospital with Martin. And she has great support there at Grey Hospital. They're really supportive. So she's gone back. I think she said she needed to occupy herself.
Yeah.
That when her boyfriend Eddie was going to work, she was just sitting in her apartment on her own, and it was getting to her, my daughter Brooke works in the Botanic House, and with her boyfriend Rian as well. So she's gone back to work as well. So but she's saying that like little things can kind of trigger a memory, or because in particular Brooke and Grace shared a room for years, and they were very, very close. So yeah, it's hit them. But with the baby, he has sensory autism, and it's very hard for him to process his feelings.
He's learning one of the hardest things that he shouldn't have to know about, and neither should you.
No.
You're a 16-year-old girl. I know that you are this campaign that you're in, and Martin, working in A&E, you see these horrific things. There's a Race for Grace that's planned on the 28th of February, where you're memorialising, you're remembering Grace.
That came by a friend of a family member, made contact and wanted to organise a race in in her name and asked for permission, and I said, whatever keeps the name out there and keeps us in the public minds, go ahead and do it. So the guy's called Alan Kerwin. I've never actually met him. Spoke to him on the phone a couple of times, but I'm letting him take all the glory for that because he organised it. So I think it's only right he should get the credit.
I can't imagine in your grief you're finding time to do this. We've seen 7 more people die on our roads this weekend.
Yeah.
A 16-year-old girl, Mia, in a hit and run.
Yeah.
People are not just statistics. We talk about statistics in road traffic accidents all of the time.
Yeah.
And I think, Siobhan, that's one thing that you just want to talk to people. Please obey the rules of the road.
In particular with red lights. I mean, the speed people go at, you know, whether you're on an e-scooter, an e-bike, a car, a motorbike, the way they disobey a red light is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and that's something that needs to change. And hopefully, again, we will be meeting with the Minister for Road Safety, and this is something that I want to bring up to him and Dublin City Council about the roads. In particular, junctions, T-junctions, they are too small. They need to be widened.
It's the yellow boxes.
The yellow boxes as well.
Grace happened to Grace, that one is particularly bad.
Grace isn't just a statistic. People involved in these accidents are not statistics.
No,
they are human beings.
Exactly.
As referenced by 𝐸, we are so sorry for your loss, and we can't thank you enough for coming in and talking to us today about this. Siobhan Gifford Lynch and Martin Lynch, thank you so much. And again, we are so sorry.
Thank you.
Grace.